All right, we are going to be trying this. It's recorded out here in sunny Maple Ridge at my kitchen. It will be posted on YouTube. You can have a good look at that, and we're just going to hope it works. Today, we're going to be going over reciprocal trig graphs, so we'll see about stuff like this. Sine and cosecant graphs. Now, if you remember our trig theory, we did sine and cosecants. So those were amazing. They were. Cosecant graphs, just 1 over sine. So let's think first of our basic sine graph. Basic sine graph, if you remember, sine go up, sine go down, mon. There it is. Now, think back to the transformations unit when we did reciprocal graphs. If you remember reciprocals, every y becomes 1 over y. Every y becomes 1 over y. So start to think of that first point there. At 0, if y becomes 1 over y, that's right, 1 over 0, that would be your asymptote. Now, as we start to climb up, we're going to climb up to 1. 1 over 1 is 1. Very nice. And then back to 0. 1 over 0 would be an asymptote. We keep having these series of things. I'm going to show you what that graph would look like. If we remember what we know about reciprocals, our graph will end up looking like this. What are you talking crazy talk like this for? Well, let's have a look. Blue is the sine graph. So there you go. Sine go up, sine go down. Follow the blue graph as you go along there. If we're out in the middle of a big field in Chilliwack, they'd call that the Blue Graph Festival. Every summer, bring your lawn chair and some iced tea. Very good. Now, look at the ones. Remember, all ones stay as ones. That's where y is 1. Look down where y is negative 1. It stays as a negative 1. Look where all the y equals zeros are. When y is 0, you got an asymptote. Over there at pi, y is 0, you got an asymptote. Look at 2 pi. Y is 0, you got an asymptote. And then just invert all the humps. My hump. My lovely sine graph hump. And then down here, just like in real life, if you look there, see that? It looks like a big frown. Well, just like in real life, math will turn your frown upside down. It's now a big smiley face. That is what reciprocal graphs look like. You can look at other YouTube videos that are more professionally done than mine, and we'll go from there. So up next, we'll look at a cosine and a secant graph. If you remember, secant is 1 over cos. So in the dotted thing, there's a cosine graph. Cosine graphs start at 1 through 0, down to negative 1, back up to 0. So what would your lovely cosecant graph look like? Well, all the ones, look across where it's 1, stays as 1. All the negative ones stay as a negative 1. Any 0, well, there it is, pi over 2, cos is 0. Take the reciprocal, you got an asymptote. 3 pi over 0. Take a reciprocal, you got an asymptote. So that's all we're doing that's new today. 1 over y. 1 over y and 1 over y. There are your cosine and secant graphs. Something magical must be coming next. Oh yeah, tangent and cotangent graphs. Crazy stuff. Now, if you thought tangent graphs were fun, and they are, well, then think of what a cotangent graph. Think of how fun that would be. Well, it's an amazing thing. It's just another reciprocal graph. Every y becomes 1 over y. So look, right at 0, you had a tangent of 0, 1 over 0. That's going to become an asymptote. At pi, you had a 0. That becomes an asymptote. At 2 pi, you had a 0. That becomes an asymptote. The craziest thing ever, if we had time in class, we would go over it. But if 1 over 0 becomes an asymptote, In the craziest way, see here at a tangent graph, you got pi over 2. What do you think happens when you take 1 over an asymptote? You get 0. Craziest thing ever. Think of your tangent graphs right across all the where you can see the mouse going. That's where tan was 1. Go 1 over 1, you got 1. Tan was 1. 1 over 1 becomes 1. Same with the negative ones. But red is your tangent. In tangent, you got a 0. Take 1 over 0. The blue graph is the cotangent. It's an asymptote. But then look at crazy. Here is crazy. Pi over 2 is an asymptote for tan. It's a 0 for a cotan. We're not going to be asking you to graph tons and tons of these, but I am going to be asking you lots of questions about where are the asymptotes of certain things. So the bragging on reciprocal graphs, everything is the exact same. Period for sine and cos is the same for cosecant and secant. You go 2 pi over b. So if I'm asking you about cosecant 6x, you'd go 2 pi over 6 because b was 6. Period for tan and cotan are the same. They're not 2 pi over b, they are pi over b, as great as that is. Your asymptotes. You need to brag about asymptotes on all these things. And just remember, asymptotes on a secant graph are wherever cosine is 0. Asymptotes on a cosecant graph is wherever sine is 0. Asymptotes on a cotangent graph is wherever a tangent is 0, because we're just doing reciprocals on all those things. Let's take a special note for domain and range on these graphs as well. And that is it for the most difficult lesson we'll have for the rest of the year. You will be getting an assignment on this. I'll be emailing it to you as well. So here's what I want to talk to you about as well. You can look up other YouTube videos on how to graph reciprocal graphs. They, of course, won't be as good as this one. Not even close, really. Well, I mean, they might be better or the same. So they'll either be better or the same or worse. That's what the other YouTube videos are going to be like. I'm going to send you homework number 11 on the next screen, and we will be caught up. So here's what's going to happen now. I'm going to go over for the rest of this lesson the end of the year and what that's going to look like. So here is a question I'm getting asked a lot by you and your parents about grading and what I'm going to do for the end of the year. So I'm going to be officially telling you what I'm going to be doing for the rest of the year. Here we go. I'm going to talk about student A and look at marks before break and after break and how I'm anticipating this will work. Some of you are student A. And when I say student A, you are a good to bad student. What that means is, before the break, you were doing amazing. Let's say before the break, there it is, you had an A. Very well done. Very, very well done. You had an A before break. You have now handed in 1 or 2 assignments. You are really struggling with the online component. And so after the break, since spring break, you're getting about 25%. Yeah, not so good. How would I even try to assess you? You were showing me in class you were an A student. You were coming out for extra help. You were working hard. Now you can't do this online stuff. What kind of grade do you think you deserve? Well, I would look at that. The stuff after break does count. So your marks come down a little bit from 86%. I think some people would say let's just average the two. I'd be putting you at about 80%. The stuff after break does count, but not that much. For you, I'm going to look basically at your mark before break, because you're a good to bad student. Then there's those that are good to good students. You were getting an A before the break. You were getting an A after the break. I'm going to give you an A. There's the bad to bad students. You were doing just terrible before the break. and you haven't done anything since the break, guess what? You're a bad student. You're a great person. You're a really nice person, and I care for you as a person. You're a bad math student. You're not passing the class. Try again. Here we go, though. What about student B? I can think of you, and you know who you are as well. There's about 8 of you that were student B. You're what I call the bad to good student. Before the break, and again, you know who you are. Yeah, that's right. Sitting right in front of me, wherever you were sitting. Right before the break, you were at 40 or worse. Terrible. You were struggling. You weren't really coming in for any extra help. You were just telling me, "Oh, just wait till the end of the year. I'm going to do so good after those final exams." And since the break, yes, you have been doing that. You have been doing so well. You've been handing in almost everything on time. You've been doing that. Now, remember I said this for student A that the stuff after the break didn't count? Not that much. I'm going to basically keep your mark. Well, for student B, the stuff after the break does count. I'm giving you an 86 because you're doing just fine after the break. So what I'm trying to tell you, what are you actually saying? Does the stuff after break count or not? I'm going to basically look at what you were doing good at. If you were doing great in class, but aren't really doing so well now, I'm going to look more at what you were doing in class. If you weren't doing so great in class, but are doing really well now, I'm going to look at what you're doing now. I'm going to look at the better of the two. Now, if you want to do really, really well in this class, just keep doing well now. Because after the break, I'm basically letting you mark your own stuff. We are going to be finishing up in the middle of June. I've heard from the principals, June 19th is when you should be expected to be all finished, everything, including your final exams and any sort of assessment that I have for you. So we got about another month of this. I'm going to be emailing each of you, and you're going to be emailing me back. We'll talk about your grade, but some of you are asking me if this stuff even counts. It does. And if you're doing well in the stuff after break, it's really, really going to bring your mark up. So today we had an assignment due just before 9 o'clock. 6 of you did not get it in. That's a 0. 7 of you got it in the 15 minutes before 9 o'clock. So some of you are really just waiting until the last possible minute. When I give an assignment, if you can get it done as fast as possible, that would be fantastic. So here is homework assignment 11. For 5 marks, look at other reciprocal graphs online. We are going to start doing time graphs. Answer the 5 questions I'm going to send you by email. I'm also going to send you an answer key for it. What it is, it's 5 multiple choice questions. And I'm going to send you the answer key. So if you get A, B, C, D, E, and then you look at the answer key, it says A, B, C, D, E, just send me a mark that says I got 5. If you got 2 of them, you send me a mark that says I got 2. We will not have a class on Monday. I know I just said in an email before or on the lesson that we were going to have one because of tech issues. There is no class Monday, and I will send you a detailed email about that. So this is what I'm doing for you now. No class Monday. We have a class on Wednesday. You have 120 hours to do 5 questions. That's almost 1 question per hour. You can get this done. I know you can. And I'm sending you the answer key. All you have to do before Wednesday is send me your mark out of 5. And I'm giving you the answer key. You get it? I'm giving you the answer key. Send me a mark out of 5. And that's it by next Wednesday. If you can't get this done by next Wednesday, that's really scary that you cannot send a number to me in 5 days. I'm really hoping you can do it. So that is what's going on. That is our lesson for today. I will send these details in an email as well. I'm hoping everyone is doing good in these crazy times with technology and staying inside and quarantined and finishing up grad and everything else. Email me if you have any questions, any concerns, if you're feeling anxious or nervous or scared about what's going to happen with your math mark and the end of the year and the end of the world, as it seems. Let me know and we'll talk about it and get it all sorted out. Hope to see you guys soon. Class will be next Wednesday. Until then, thank you and good night from NBC News. I'm giving you my email address should you need to talk to me, and this due Wednesday.